This video is on medical conversions and dosage calculations. What follows next is the most important part of the entire video. It shows you how to do many things involving conversions. So it has like quarts, pints, cups, ounces, milliliters. It shows you how to do the metric system. You should know everything on this sheet, and then you will find that conversions and dosage calculations are quite simple. Here we have a conversion guide for many things in the medical field. Now, over on the left, 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. 1 quart equals 2 pints. 1 pint equals 2 cups. And 1 cup, American cup, equals 8 ounces. You can remember this by 4228. 1 ounce equals 30 milliliters in the medical field. But what is that to the right of it? 1 ounce is equal to 29.5735 milliliters. Well, that's what it's actually equal to 4 decimal points, and the drink companies use 29.6 when they calculate and tell you how many ounces or milliliters your drink has. But in the medical field, we don't deviate. We'll say 1 ounce is 30 milliliters. Now, 15 milliliters is equal to 1 big T. That stands for tablespoon. And 5 milliliters is equal to 1 teaspoon, little t. And we can see 3 times 5 is 15, so 3 little t's equal 1 big T. What's that thing at the bottom? 1 quart is equal to 32 ounces. Where would that come from? Well, way back in the 50s and the 60s, people used to have milk delivered to their doorstep. And there were 1 quart bottles, and they had a big old 32 on it. So some older folks would know that. Now, over here on the right-hand side, 1 grain is equal to 60 milligrams. Grain is an American term. It's G-R-A-I-N. It's not exactly 60. It's 59 point da-da-da-da, but we could use 60, as everybody else does. And then we got 1 inch is approximately 2.5 centimeters, and we see next to it, 1 inch is actually exactly 2.54 centimeters. When would you need that? Well, if you were measuring somebody for eyeglasses, you would have to know that 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. And if you had to convert it to inches, you better use 2.54, because if you use 2.5, the glasses are going to fit too tight. Now, 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. And right next door to that, I have 5 kilograms is 11 pounds. So when we do conversions with weight and do dosage calculations, it's much easier to use 5 kilograms is 11 pounds. So that way you haven't got to worry about the decimal. Now, 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. And I don't think we have any humans that are 2,000 pounds, so it's just there for completeness. 1 pound is 16 ounces. That's weight. We do need to know that if you're involved with babies, because we measure them in pounds and ounces, and a mile is 5,280 feet. Don't think we're going to use that in medicine. I don't think we have tapeworms 5,280 feet. So, right below all this, we have a medicine cup. And that medicine cup is everywhere on Earth. And I'm showing only one side of it. On the other side are some British terms like dram, but I'm highlighting milliliters. And so we have divisions 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 milliliters. Now, 6 times 5 is 30. So a medicine cup is 6 teaspoons. You need to memorize that. And 2 times 15 is 30. So we see 2 big T's up on the left. You need to know that a medicine cup is 2 tablespoons, 6 teaspoons. And you absolutely have to know that 3 little t's is 1 big T. And that's our medicine cup. You should draw it a few times on your own, so that would help you memorize it. At the bottom, we have the metric system. It jumps by thousands. So at the very bottom, we have microgram. And it takes 1,000 micrograms to be a milligram. It takes 1,000 milligrams to be a gram. It takes 1,000 grams to be a kilogram. So we could ask the question, how many milligrams does it take to be a kilogram? The answer is not 2,000. Every gram has 1,000 milligrams, so it's 1,000 thousandths. That's a million. So that's how we do that problem. And then if we look at milliliters, liter, kiloliter, they jump by thousands. And it takes 1,000 milliliters to be a liter. And 1,000 liters equals a kiloliter. We're not going to use that in the medical field. And we look over here on the right, millimeter. It takes 1,000 millimeters to be a meter. And it takes 1,000 meters to be a kilometer. So we're not going to use kilometers in the medical field. But if we look at the bottom, we deviate from the 1,000. It takes 10 millimeters to be a centimeter. And it takes 100 centimeters to be a meter. So for every centimeter, there are 10 millimeters, and 10 times 100 is 1,000. So that's the only deviation from the chart, but we do need centimeters because we measure babies' heads in centimeters. And except for the U.S., a little small part of Mexico, and a small part of Canada, the rest of the world measures heights in centimeters. So that's a basic conversion guide. You need to memorize conversions. How do you do them? Now, in our first example, we're going to convert 12 inches into centimeters. You do 12 inches times a fraction. Wherever you're going, centimeters goes on top. Whatever you start from goes on the bottom. So to complete this conversion, we got to put how many centimeters make how many inches. Here we see the numbers put in. You got to make the top equal to the bottom. 2.5 centimeters equals 1 inch. Now, if the number's on top, you multiply by it. If the number's on the bottom, you divide by it. So if you divide by 1, you got whatever you got. So it's simply, what's 12 times 2.5? Now, here's how we could do this mentally. 2 12s is 24, and 0.5, a half of 12 is 6, and 24 and 6 is 30. So that's multiplying a whole number times a fraction or a decimal number, and it's very easy to do the whole number times the integer part and the whole number times the fraction part or the decimal part. But this is more than just 12 inches is equal to 30 centimeters. 12 inches is a foot. So 1 foot is approximately 30 centimeters. So if somebody is 3 feet, that would be 90 centimeters. And then we could say, well, how about a person who is 5 feet? How many centimeters are there? Well, 5 times 30 is 150. So if you memorize this, that 12 inches or a foot is 30 centimeters, you can get people's heights very quickly in from feet into centimeters. Conversions. In our second example, we have 3 conversions, but we'll first look at the medicine cup over to the right. If we know the medicine cup, it's relatively easy to do these conversions. Now, medicine cup is 1 ounce, and 1 ounce is 30 milliliters. And we see our little division marks at the bottom. 5 milliliters is 1 teaspoon, and that's little t, and 15 milliliters is 1 tablespoon, that's big T. Now we go over to the left. 5 teaspoons is how many milliliters? Milliliters goes on top of the fraction line. Teaspoon, we're starting with, goes on the bottom. And we got to make milliliters equal to teaspoons. And 5 milliliters is 1 teaspoon. So it's a very simple problem. We're dividing by 1, so you don't need to worry about it. 5 times 5 is 25. So 5 teaspoons is 25 milliliters. Now we take 2 ounces is how many teaspoons? Teaspoon goes on top, ounce goes on bottom. If we remember our medicine cup, 6 teaspoons is 1 ounce, so 2 times 6 is 12 teaspoons. Then we take 3 tablespoons. How many ounces? Well, we look at our medicine cup. A tablespoon takes 2 of those to be an ounce. So we're going to ounce, that's on top, tablespoons on the bottom. 1 ounce is 2 tablespoons, so we got 3 times 1, or 3, divided by 2. That's 3 over 2. That's an improper fraction, and that's the mixed number 1.5 ounces. We do not write 1.5. Ounce is an American term, and with U.S. terms, we like to use fractions and mixed numbers. So 3 tablespoons is 1.5 ounces. Here we have an example with 75 millimeters to convert it into inches, and we're going to do it 2 different ways. The first way, we'll convert millimeters into centimeters, then centimeters into inches. So 75 millimeters is how many centimeters? Centimeter goes on top of the fraction line. Millimeter is on the bottom. 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So the arithmetical problem is, what is 75 times 1 over 10? So 75 divided by 10, you move the decimal over one place to the left, and that is 7.5 centimeters. Now we take the 7.5 centimeters and convert it into inches. So inch goes on top, centimeter on the bottom. 1 inch is 2.5 centimeters. So what's 7.5 divided by 2.5? When you divide by 2.5, you move the decimal to the right one place. That's 25. You got to move it to the right in the 75. So what's 75 over 25? That's 3 inches. The other way is to do a double conversion. So 75 millimeters is equal to so many inches. Inch goes on top, millimeter on the bottom. Say we don't know how many millimeters makes an inch, but we do know what's common to both a millimeter and an inch is centimeter. So we put a centimeter on the top and a centimeter on the bottom. Now these two conversion factors are multiplied together. So in algebra, you could cross out the centimeter, but you can put them in. And so now with each conversion factor, we're going to make the top equal to the bottom. So starting on the left, 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. And on the right, 1 inch is 2.5 centimeters. So now it's 75 times 1 times 1. That's 75. Now 10 times 2.5, 10 times the number moves the decimal to the right. That's 25 centimeters on the bottom now. And so we have 75 over 25 is 3 inches. So it is preferable to actually do a double conversion as opposed to 2 individual single conversions. In this example, we will convert 3 grains, that's G-R-A-I-N, into grams. So gram goes on top, grain goes on bottom. Most people don't know how many grains make a gram, so we'll use a double conversion. So as we look below, I put a milligram in between them. So we know milligrams and grams and milligrams and grains. So on the left, 60 milligrams is 1 grain. And on the right, 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. So our arithmetical problem is 3 times 60 over 1,000. Let's knock out a 0 on top and bottom. So now we got 3 times 6 over 100. So that's 18 divided by 100. Move the decimal 2 places to the left. And that's 0.18. We'll notice that gram is a metric term, and we want to write that as a decimal number. We don't want to write it as 18 over 100, but 0.18. Notice the 0 is in front of the dot. So we're not going to write 0.18, we're going to write 0.18. In this example, we'll convert grams into grains. So grain goes on top, gram goes on bottom, and we don't know the relationship. So we'll do a double conversion. So we'll put a milligram in between, and so on the left, the conversion factor is 1,000 milligrams is 1 gram, and on the right, 1 grain is 60 milligrams, and we got 0.04 times 1,000 divided by 60. I left out the ones. Now, the easiest way is to get rid of your decimal right off. So 0.04 times 1,000, you move the decimal in 0.04 3 places to the right. So that would be 40 over 60, which is 4 over 6, which is 2/3 grains. And we've written that as a fraction because grain is an American term. Now we have a little question here. What do you multiply 2/3 by to get 1? 3 over 2. So if you were to multiply both sides by 3 over 2, 0.04 times 3 halves. 3 times 0.04 is 0.12. If you divide that by 2, you get 0.06. So we've actually found out that 6/100ths of a gram is 1 grain. In this example, we'll convert miles into inches, and we'll do it two different ways. Now, 3 miles is how many inches. Inch goes on top, miles goes on bottom. Most people don't know how many inches are in a mile. So we'll do a double conversion. So we'll insert feet as our go-between. So our leftmost conversion factor, we have 5,280 feet is 1 mile, and the right one, 12 inches, is a foot. So it's 3 times 5,280 times 12, and that works out to 190,080 inches. Now, just because we put foot there doesn't mean it's the only one. We could put yard in between. So 36 inches is 1 yard, and 1,760 yards is 1 mile, and if we do the multiplication again, we will also get 190,080 inches. The point of this example is to show that the go-between, feet, is not unique. We could have used yards, so that's true of many conversions. It's not a unique thing that goes in between, but we have to have something that's common to both what we start with and what we end. Dosage calculations. The doctor orders 600 milligrams of drug X, and you have available 200 milligram tablets of that drug. I hope you can immediately tell me the answer is 3 tablets. Now, to show that this is in fact a division process, we'll do 600 milligrams over 200 milligram tablets. That's on the left. We will change 600 milligrams to 600 milligrams over 1. 200 milligram tablets is 200 milligrams per tablet per 1 tablet. So that's 200 milligrams over 1 tablet. That's a fraction divided by a fraction. That's ODs over NEs. So it's 600 milligrams times 1 tablet over 1 times 200 milligrams, which is 200 milligrams. The milligrams cancel. 600 over 200 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3 tablets, and you can write it as 3 tab. So our formula, based on this simple example, is what you give the patient is the order times the per part of what you have. It is a simple process to determine what you should give a patient. Here we have 3 examples for dosage calculations. Our first one, the order is 600 milligrams of a drug, and you have 200 milligrams per capsule of that drug. What shall you give the patient? Well, 600 over 200 is 3 times 1, 3 capsules, and you can abbreviate it as 3 cap. Our next example, you have an order of 600 milligrams of a drug, and you have 200 milligrams of that drug per 5 ml. What do you give the patient? Well, it's 600 milligrams times 5 ml over 200 milligrams. The milligrams cancel, so that's 3 times 5 is 15 milliliters. Our third example, the order is 0.04 of a gram of a drug. You have 10 milligrams per 3 milliliters. What do you give the patient? And you look to the right to convert grams to milligrams. Move the decimal 3 places to the right. So 0.04, you move it 3 places, that would be 40 milligrams times 3 milliliters over 10 milligrams. Now we got the same unit, so 40 over 10, that's 4, times 3 is 12 milliliters. Here we have 3 more examples. The order is 5 grains of a drug. We have 150 milligrams of that drug per, that's what that line means, tablet. How many tablets? Well, let's convert grains to milligrams. 1 grain is 60 milligrams. 5 times 60 is 300. So we have 300 milligrams over 150 milligrams per 1 tablet. So that would be 2 tablets. So we converted the top unit to the bottom unit, grains to milligrams. But in this next example, example 5, we have 180 milligrams of a drug, and you have 1 grain per tablet. We'll convert the grain to milligrams. So 1 grain is 60 milligrams. So it's 180 milligrams divided by 60 milligrams per 1 tablet, that would be 3 tablets. Our third example, the order is 7 milligrams of a drug, and you have 1 milligram of that drug per 1/2 of a milliliter. Now, 7 over 1, that's 7, times 1/2 is 3 1/2. But this is in milliliters, that's a metric term, so not 3 1/2, but 3.5 milliliters. Here we have 2 more dosage calculations, but these are slightly different. The order is 1 milligram per kilogram. That means per kilogram of body weight. And what we have is 20 milligram capsules. And our patient weighs 88 pounds. So the first thing we got to do is change the 88 pounds into kilograms. So as we see to the right, 88 pounds times a conversion factor. We got 5 kilograms on top, 11 pounds on the bottom. 11 goes into 88. 8 times 5 is 40 kilograms. So here's what we're going to give. We have 1 milligram per kilogram times 40 kilograms. The kilograms will cancel out. It's per 1 cap, and in each capsule we got 20 milligrams. So we see the kilograms cancel, the milligrams cancel, and 20 goes into 40 2 times, and 2 times 1 is 2 caps is what we give. In our next example, we see our tablets are scored 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. And the order is 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight. Our patient weighs 77 pounds. So we'll convert the 77 pounds into kilograms. So we got 77 pounds times 5 kilograms over 11 pounds. 11 goes to 77. 7 times 5 is 35 kilograms. So we see below, we got 20 milligram tablets now, and they're scored. So we got 1 milligram per kilogram times 35 kilograms times 1 tablet over 20 milligrams. The kilogram units cancel, the milligrams cancel. We got 35 over 20. That's 1, and 15 over 20, which simplifies to 1 3/4 tablets, and that's part of our scoring, so that's a legitimate amount. So we have another dosage calculation problem, but we have a division problem to start with. What's a 7/11 divided by 3? So we take 7/11 divided by 3 as a fraction, 3 over 1, outies over innies, 7 times 1, 7, over 11 times 3. So if you divide a fraction by an integer, you just tack on the integer to the denominator. So now if we do our dosage problem, we have an order of 2 milligrams per kilogram per day. We're going to administer this drug every 8 hours, and we have 10 milligram capsules. So the patient weighs 30 kilograms. How many capsules do we give the patient each time? So we put the order in, that's 2 milligrams over kg times the 30 kg, so the kgs cancel, times 1 capsule, and it's 10 milligrams per capsule, that's in the denominator, and then we're going to divide it by 3, so the 3 is in the denominator. Why did I divide by 3? It says every 8 hours. It says per day. 3 times 8 is 24. So when we now do our calculation, we got 30 kg or 30 on top. 10 times 3 is 30. The 30s cancel. And we will give the patient 2 capsules each time. So we could ask the question, how many capsules does the patient get for the whole day? Well, that would be 3 times 2. That's 6 caps. But for each time, it's 2 capsules. And that concludes this video on medical conversions and dosage calculations. It's not supposed to be an expansive thing on dosage calculation, but each one shows you how to do a different type thing with dosage calculations.